and welcome to Business First here on Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. My name is Lynette Manzini. Business First is a program we bring you 3 times a week where we talk all things business. Today's program is brought to you by Zimtrade, and we are talking about the Eagle's Nest program, a youth-oriented program that is being rolled out by Zimtrade, where they're trying to encourage the youth to tap into export opportunities. And joining me today in the studio is Danai Majaha from Zimtrade. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Lynn.
I have Colin Moyo. He is from Viridi Solutions. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Via Zoom from Bulawayo, we are joined by Tawanda Chiware. He is from Zimtrade. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yes, so we're going to start with you, Danai. Tell us a bit about Zimtrade, the role of Zimtrade.
Okay, thank you. So Zimtrade, we are the National Trade Development and Promotion Organization, and our mandate is quite clear, is to energize Zimbabwe's export growth. And the way we do that is we do that across 4 services that we offer at no cost to local companies. So the first one is on market information, market intelligence, where we go out of the country, gather critical intelligence that makes it easy for local companies to then land their products on export markets. There we interact with some of the key buyers in regional and international markets. Then the second one is on export development, which caters part of the program that Collins is undergoing. So here we're developing capacities of local companies so that they produce competitive products on the export market. I think the export market is quite competitive. It's not like the local market. So when we export, we need to be able to export products that can compete well in those markets. And the third service is on export promotion. Here we're now taking products that are produced in Zimbabwe and taking them to international markets. There we sometimes we take local companies to participate at trade fairs and exhibitions, where they then have a first-hand interaction with buyers. Also, we conduct a number of inward and outward buyer and seller missions, where sometimes we take a group of companies, we go with them to a market where they engage with buyers, or sometimes we take buyers and bring them to Zimbabwe. You know, the narrative out there is that the economy is struggling and we're not producing.
Yes.
So sometimes we take buyers, come with them to Zimbabwe so that they actually see and comprehend our manufacturing sector. That way it's easier to then create a sustainable and lasting relation. And the fourth one is on lobbying, where we try by all means to create an enabling environment that makes it easy to do business. One of the things that we've been pursuing for quite a long time now is creating a single export window, where for local companies, if they need to export, they need to get to one desk, get all the certificates and licenses required to export. That way, we then create a seamless system that makes it easy for companies to export. So basically, I think in short, that's what we do as Zimtrade. So
you're trying to you are creating a one-stop shop for the exporters.
That's what we're trying to create. We've done that. The country has done that with regards to investment, where we now have ZIDA. It's one-stop shop for investment. So we're trying to create a similar process as a one-stop shop for doing export business. I'll give you an example. If you want to export agro-based products, your horticulture, you need a certificate from Ministry of Agriculture, you need a certificate from AMA, you need papers from ZIMRA, you need papers from RBZ. And that takes time because an exporter has to move through corridors and offices, which then creates a longer time for you to export. So what we want is an exporter should be able to get to a single desk, get all the papers required, and then they start exporting.
Okay, let's drop in Tawanda. Tawanda, tell us about the Eagle's Nest program.
Just briefly, the Eagle's Nest program, it's an export incubation program, which is meant to develop the youth-led businesses into export-ready business companies or businesses. What we're basically doing is trying to encourage the youth of Zimbabwe to venture into business, and as Zimtrade, we develop them into export-ready companies.
Okay. Colin, tell us a bit about your organization and the products that you produce.
At Virid, we are into manufacturing of ester-based or vegetable-based lubricants, which amongst there is transformer oil, hydraulic oil, gear oil, and transmission oil. We manufacture these oils from our seeds, which include sunflower, soybean, and we are also looking into castor bean. We have got machinery that we are purchasing for the castor bean oil as well, so that we can use it in our production line as well.
What inspired this project?
Actually, looking at Zimbabwe, we have been having problems of foreign currency shortage, importing almost everything that we use here in Zimbabwe, and the world is moving towards from fossil fuels into green energy. So we saw it fit so that to provide solutions in our nations that can boost the value chains, job creation, even exports, and even cover our energy sector. So that's why we moved into that sector.
You are talking about environmentally friendly products. You are producing this oil from seeds. Yes. So how well, in comparison with the mineral based, how well does your product work?
Actually, ours it's biodegradable. Hence, you'd find that there are companies like the mining companies and even the ones which are into electricity generation. They don't want any oil spill into the environment if it is mineral. But if it is ours now, even if it spill in the environment, it doesn't contaminate the environment, and it is fireproof. You'd find that we have so many explosions of the transformers, air pollution, and other things. Ours, it's fireproof. It doesn't burn. So it's one of those advantages that we have from this type of technology.
Okay. Then if I can bring you in, I want you to tell us about the importance of the importance of value addition in regards to exporters.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it covers much of what Collins was saying. But I think if we look at the National Development Blueprint, the National Development Strategy 1, what it does is that it identifies a value addition and beneficiation as the key enablers to economic growth. So what happens is that when we value add our commodities, what we are doing is we're increasing the value of our exports. And at the same time, we are creating jobs and improving the livelihoods of people in Zimbabwe. What happens is, in most cases, you find that when you export raw materials, the cost for that same raw material on the export market is probably less than 60% of a value-added commodity. And what we have done is that we've exported value and we've exported more money out of the country. Look at the export composition of our products that we're exporting. You find that the bulk of it are minerals and are raw and raw commodities. And what we've failed to do as a country now is to retain that same value that we were exporting. So when we then value add our products, we are retaining the much of the value in the country. And there are vast other advantages that comes with that. Number one is that value addition encourages creativity. So if Collins is processing soybean, that's soybean and castor bean, so the products that he is now creating are coming as a result of innovation and creativity, something that wouldn't have done if he was exporting the raw materials. And we can also talk of import substitution. When right now we are importing the bulk of our oil. Even if you look at our import composition, the structure is that much of it is undertaken by oil. So if we are able to create the same oil in Zimbabwe, we would have substituted much of how much we are using to import. We can also talk of foreign currency, the amount of money that we are sending out trying to import the same commodities that we could be producing in Zimbabwe is just too much, and which is not sustainable.
Okay, thank you very much. And on that note, we're going to take a short break. Tuned in to Business First here on Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. My name is Lynette Manzini, and this program is brought to you by Zimtrade, where we are talking about the Eagle's Nest program, a youth-oriented program that's encouraging the youth to tap into the export sector. And with me here in the studio is Danai from Zimtrade, and Colin from Viridi Solutions, and joining us via Zoom is Tawanda from Zimtrade. And I'm going to start with you, Tawanda. Why is it important to prioritize innovation? I know, already we have an idea because Colin told us a bit about, the product that he's producing. But why is it important for us to prioritize innovation?
I think if you look at the dynamics, the changing dynamics in the world economy and the market in particular, so that's when innovation comes in. We also look at the things such as changes and discovering new opportunities. So that's when we need to come up with different ways of doing business and different ideas and technologies. Innovation is not basically coming up with new technology, but adding value or technology or an idea to an existing product or service so that it gains a competitive advantage on the international market.
Okay, let me rope you in, Danai. He had spoken about market dynamics. What's the relationship between the market dynamics and innovation?
Okay, so one of the things that innovation does is that it then improves the way we've been doing business, and especially the way we've been producing commodities. The world is moving towards production efficiencies, especially to do with what we produce and the impact that what we produce has on the environment. We'll be talking about climate change. So you find in some countries, it's a requirement that whatever it is that you produce, it must be emitting minimum in terms of emissions into the world. Mm-hmm. So by adopting new methods of production, what we then do is we conform to the global standards. And once we do that, it then makes it easy for our products to land on export markets. There are standards, global standards, that are governing the way we produce things. So over time, we now need to come up with methods that makes it easy and makes it cheaper to produce the same commodities. Energy is quite expensive these days, and innovation makes it easy for us to come up with methods that produce the same commodities but consuming less energy, which overall then improves in terms of the pricing models that we pick.
Okay. Is Tawanda back? Okay, we had lost you there, but you can go ahead and explain to us. You were still talking about innovation. You had touched on the market dynamics, the changing environment, and the opportunities.
Thank you. Adding on to that, I think it also keeps the organization relevant. So that if it keeps abreast with what is happening within the market, the international market, the regional market, and the local market, it keeps their products and the organization relevant and still in the business, so that they will be able to meet the international standard as mentioned by Danai to be able to enter into those international markets.
Tawanda, how does your organization help organizations like Collins organization? They are already, they're producing green products. They want to make sure that the products they're producing are friendly to the environment. And also, I mean, the world is shifting, like you rightfully said, is shifting to a green economy. How does your organization help Collins, for instance, Collins organization? They have been innovative enough. How do you come in to assist them and export their products?
Thank you. For example, like the Ignes program, we come up with various activities and programs whereby we train these SMEs and the youth. For example, we have an MBIC program that we also do at Zimtrade, whereby we take a number of our SMEs, then we come up with programs so that we develop them in terms of what they are producing, targeting exactly what they are focusing on as a business, and try to help them so that they can be able to meet the standards of the business environment. For example, we look at something like to do with packaging, where we help them to understand what are the requirements on the international market scene in terms of packaging. So basically, that's some of the things that we also look at when we incorporate some of the companies, for example, like the youth of Zimbabwe, where we are willing to venture into exports.
Okay, so if I can just add something there, Lynn. One of the ways that we also assist young businesses and businesses in general is with an agreement, a partnership with a Netherlands-based PUM organization. It's a senior expert organization. And also we work with SES of Germany. These are institutions that are founded to offer technical assistance to companies in third world countries. Mm-hmm. So what we do is we facilitate for experts across all sectors from Netherlands or Germany to come and assist local companies at no cost really for the local company. In most cases, what the companies in Zimbabwe need to do is probably cater for accommodation, but the flight and all costs those are covered. What they do is, because they're in international markets, they understand the international trends better. Their technologies are probably better than what we are using. So they then come to Zimbabwe, take local companies through emerging trends, so that they then produce commodities that if you are to find them on the international market, outside being the quality product, you can't really tell it's coming from Zimbabwe. So we've done a number of activities for local companies. I know there's a company in Blawayo that was producing shoes, but one component of that shoe, it was not in sync with what buyers in Europe were looking for. And after that, the technical intervention of an expert from PUM came through. They were able to be assisted, and the changes to the shoe actually made it cheaper to produce the shoe, and then it became competitive. We've also another company that was producing.
So just because of one component,
yes,
the international market might reject your product?
Yes, because they've tests. So you find our tests in Zimbabwe and tests in international markets, they're different. I'll give you another example of pineapples. We're working with farmers in Diadzo in Manicaland. And previously, they were producing those big pineapples. So, in Zimbabwe, if I'm to go to a supermarket looking for vegetables, we're normally looking for the bigger one. You're told the Nortragamadomas, and people are looking for the bigger tomatoes.
Yeah.
But you find in Netherlands, when they're looking for pineapples, they want the smaller ones. Why? Because the time it takes for a pineapple to mature is the time it takes for a smaller pineapple to mature. So they then believe the concentration of the sugar of the sweetness is much concentrated in the smaller one. In the smaller one. So out of those technical interventions, we then assist companies, because if you produce the bigger pineapple, you can have tons and tons, but no one is going to buy them. That was the same case with that company in Blawayo that was producing shoes. It was just one minor, but you can produce 100 pairs. But if the market is not what they are looking for, no one is going to buy that. So we've quite a number of success stories coming from those technical interventions that have made it easy for local companies. We can also talk of packaging. You find a local company is producing very beautiful products or good products, but as long as they're labeled in English, it will be difficult to find a market in Angola. It will be difficult to find a market in Mozambique. So those are some of the things that we might think, they don't matter. Who is not reading English these days? Who doesn't have Google Translator these days? But it really matters when you look at market dynamics.
All right, thank you very much. And on that note, we're going to take a short break. So in case you're just joining us, you are tuned into Business First here on Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. This program is proudly brought to you by Zimtrade, where we are talking about the Eagle's Nest program, a program that's youth-oriented, that's encouraging the youth to export their products, so as to export, processed products, adding value and, bringing more foreign currency to the nation. I want to come to you, Colin. Before we went to the break, Dan and I had spoken about ensuring that local companies should ensure that their products meet the standards of what the international consumer is looking for. He mentioned the issue of an organization in Bulawayo that was producing shoes, and just because of one component, that product was almost rejected. I want to find out from you. You are into transmission oil, you're into gear oil. Is your product, with the research that you have done, is your product what the international market is looking for, or is there something that you are going to change going forward to ensure that it's export ready?
Okay, thank you. Our product, actually, one of the initial things that we have to do, for instance, when you're manufacturing transformer oil, you have to meet international standards. Of which these standards, they've got the specifications for the oil that you need to have ready, like the properties like your dielectric strength. You cannot have a transformer oil which has got a lesser number of dielectric strength, whilst the international standard requires 60 and above. So it was one of the things that we have concentrated on to meet the specifications of the international standards. And recently, we were not aware of the packaging, but during the Zimtrade trainings, even though we knew of the international specifications, but there are some other things that we were not looking with the full picture for packaging. For instance, if we are exporting transformer oil, we need it packed in metal drums. But we were just thinking that we can just have some plastic drums and then we send it across the border. And even our specifications on the packaging, like the properties of the oil. So we have done a lot pertaining to the properties and the international standards of the lubricants that we are manufacturing, so that we adhere to those standards and meet the international standards as well.
Okay, but what challenges have you been experiencing?
Pertaining there were so many challenges. The journey has been long, but what gives us encouragement is where we are looking at and where we are going, and who is carrying us, helping us to get to the next phase. For instance, to start off, we could not have our oil ready into the market because we could not fund the pilot project of that of the project. So we had to engage other local players, other manufacturers, and when you've got something working and you're begging people to do things for you, and when I tell someone that I'm manufacturing transformer oil, the next thing that I expect to see is me maybe having that big plant with machinery, and I've got a Range Rover parked outside. no, it's still an idea, and it needs someone to help me through to get to the international standard, even the local standards, because you have to deal with those standards. So it has been difficult for us to get to where we are right now, but we have managed to get there because there are some other private players here in Zimbabwe whom are believing in these local innovations and solutions, whom have also helped us to get to where.
Then every time I speak to participants of this competition of the Eagle's Nest, the issue of funding always it comes up here and there. And I think it's not just from them, but I think in the country in general. But how do you come in to assist in regards to funding? He has an idea. You know, this idea is helping to green the economy and also creating jobs back home. And he needs funding, and you know, maybe he doesn't have the collateral. How do you assist?
Okay, that's. I think there are quite a number of issues that comes to play when you're looking at funding. Mm-hmm. But as part of this program and other activities, we try by all means to bring the funding partners and the financial institutions on the table, and on the other end, we bring the participant or the business that is looking for funding on the other table, so that they engage and find possible ways to proceed. But there's also need to look at what are the challenges that are out there and that are in the field. You find most youth-owned business, they have brilliant ideas that when you hear them, we should fund them. But when then the funding partners come through and say, where are the papers of the company? You find most of them are operating without registration, which makes it then difficult to access funding. Apart from issues, of course, to do with collateral, but there are basics. Do you have a bank account? Some they don't have. It's a business that is operated on a mobile application. Some, when a buyer asks for details, it's not a company account, it's their personal account, or it's an account of a sekuru or umzukuru in another town, which makes it then difficult for them to pen out issues to do with how are we going to get our money. Most funding partners, what they want is, if I put in money, what is the return on that investment? So it now is the onus is on the business that is looking for funding to prove that when you put money, there's obvious a return on investment. So those are some of the issues that we are now working with the youth-led businesses to make sure that when they present their cases to funding partners, it's a clear case that should be easy to fund.
Tawanda, I know Danai brings a lot of issues to the table, but I want to talk about one point that he raised where he was talking about, business, someone's business being on a mobile application. I mean, the young generation is tech savvy, and instead of having an office in one building, everything is being done using a mobile phone. Shouldn't these funders adjust and embrace what the youths are doing? Because it cuts down expenses anyway.
Thank you. There are pros and cons regarding the use of mobile applications. The pros being that it's cost effective and easy to use and very less costly. So given that the youth of today, they're tech savvy, like you mentioned, it makes them doing their business much easier and reach a wider coverage of their customers. They could even reach a clientele base overseas, international market rather. So for that matter, I think it's much easier to adopt such technology. But at the same time, like Dana mentioned, there is that need for collateral so that the businesses and the funding partners, you have to invest confidence in them that this is a strategic business, a properly planned and structured entity, so that they are willing to assist with their finances, so that they are guaranteed at any given time they will be able to monitor and they're also guaranteed that in the near future, you'll be able to repay their loans or whatever the financial structure is that you've agreed upon.
Okay, Tawanda, Zimbabwe is an agro-based economy, and there are a lot of byproducts that are coming in from production, processing. How can the youths capitalize on these byproducts, and get into export?
Very much like you mentioned, Zimbabwe is an agro-based economy, which basically means that we have plenty of these byproducts which come from the crops that we plant here in Zimbabwe. So in the meantime, it becomes also an advantage to our businesses and also the youth of Zimbabwe. Because for example, if I give you bananas is the second most produced product in the world. And for example, we can use banana peels as a byproduct to develop nano fertilizers. Nano fertilizers, they are basically plant-based fertilizers. So they can come from banana peels, which can be dried and crushed to develop a fertilizer. So given that, it's something that is easily accessible, that is readily available, that is very cheap to obtain. So it's basically an advantage to a youth-owned business or a Zimbabwean company. So it's very encouraging to venture into that kind of business, because they have to look for much in terms of capital to start a business.
Oh, thank you very much for that. I'm going to make sure that every time I eat a banana, Tawanda, I'm going to keep my peel for that nano fertilizer. I might be on the Eagle's Nest program in the near future.
Sure, you should. I should just recruit you just now.
You have done an excellent job. Let me come to you, Colin. Colin, you are a contestant in the Eagle's Nest program. Tell us about your experience. What kind of experience have you gained over the few months you have been working with the Eagle's Nest?
Thank you. My packaging was terrible. Even the way I would relate with customers was very, very terrible. And you might have a good product, but if it is not packaged in the right way, and you as the person behind the product, if you are not packaged in a right way as well, you might think people they are shunning your product, yet it's you who is failing to meet the standards or the requirements of the customers. So Eagle's Nest has improved me a lot, even with the responses that we are getting, even from before the end of the program. We are getting a huge response from other countries pertaining to our products. They are willing to buy. They are willing to partner with us, and even some other, like what we've been talking about, the funding and other things. Recently, after I got into Eagle's Nest, we got a bank here in Zimbabwe that is willing to fund, to finance each and every order that we have. What we have to do is to look for orders, look for customers, and we've got another organization which came last week. I think they heard of us through Eagle's Nest as well. They are assisting in acquiring all the machinery that we require for the production of these oils. So Eagle's Nest has been a blessing to me.
Good. We are happy that it has been a blessing to you, and also we wish you good luck. We hope you come up tops in this competition. We are rounding up the program. In 30 seconds, your advice to youths out there who want to get into export, or youths who think export is not for the youths, it's for big companies. I know 30 seconds is a little bit short for you, but let's do it 30 seconds.
I think one of the things that it can be done is anything can be exported, be it products or services. It's a matter of putting everything in order so that it meets expectations of the ones that are looking to buy. And one of the things that I just need to emphasize is we're talking about standards, international standards. And producing a commodity that you say meets standards and having it certified that it meets standards are two different things. So local companies, youth-owned business, need to make sure that their products are registered and are certified to be meeting international standards, so that they do less explanation to whoever wants to buy from them. And of course, they need to get their businesses in order. This is a must. They need to get their businesses in order. They need to have companies registered, have something to show that this is a viable business, because partners are looking for security. So they need to have everything in order.
Okay. Tawanda, your final words?
First and foremost, I would like to say the sky is the limit. We should not be discouraged by looking for finances or capital to venture into business. The motive or the drive is your vision, what you want to achieve, what you aspire to do in the near future. That should be the first drive to push you to do what you want to do, rather than concentrating on what you can get so that you can start a business. So I urge all the youth in Zimbabwe and everyone else who want to venture into business. The sky is the limit, and Zimtrade is there to assist you in any way possible.
Thank you very much, Tawanda. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me in today's program.
Thank you, Lynn.
There you have it. Like Tawanda has said, the sky is the limit. Danai has said that make sure that your businesses are formalized, they are organized, and you have something to show. So until next time, my name is Lynette Manzini. Goodbye.